It just doesn't stop. When you think it's going to get, you know, how much worse can it get? It gets worse. So it's now Sunday. So at the start of this week, it's only been a week. What, 6 days? Man, so much has happened. Let's go over the latest stuff. Let's get everyone updated. So these are the things that I've found on Twitter of late, and the various things that I've heard on podcasts and whatever else other people have shared. So the contagion continues. So this is a screenshot of a conversation which is on Twitter. It's about crypto.com. So that's that custodial place where you give them the money and they give you a yield sort of thing. And it turns out that crypto.com sent $300 million worth of ETH to Gate, which is an exchange. And then they sent back 285,000 ETH. So, one, what the hell are they doing? Why are they sending all of that money, which will be customer money, to Gate, and then 15,000 doesn't come back? Um, like he says down here that all funds were returned, but the chain doesn't really say that. So if you are a customer of crypto.com and just get amongst it, right? Start figuring out what's going on with that. Um, this window. People asking questions. Yeah, so that's not great. Next, the this is the Securities Commission address statement. Can this be seen? I might have my window not really working. Anyway, I'll read it. So there was stuff yesterday about people being able to withdraw money um, from FTX in the Bahamas because of some special law or whatever. That didn't come from anyone with with authority or anything. So this is a media release from uh, the Securities Commission of the Bahamas, right? So they note that statements made by representatives of FTX, which advise per regulation that we have begun to facilitate the withdrawal of some funds. The Commission wishes to advise that it has not directed, authorized, or suggested to FTX Digital that they can do that. The Commission further notes that such transactions may be characterized as voidable under the insolvency regime and consequently result in clawing back funds from the customers in the Bahamas. So, like more dodgy stuff. Uh, like the hole they just keep digging the hole deeper for themselves, don't they? Right. What else is going on? Right. So there was a guy called Algo God Trading. That's his Twitter handle. He was apparently, well, he come forward on his own volition and said that he'd lost, 8 figures. And he was upset, and obviously, but he's been trying to use that Bahamas facility as a backdoor to try and get his money out, and the backdoor was facilitated by um, buying buying NFTs using the FTX NFT facility, and then sending the NFTs to someone that has a Bahamas account, or he creates his own Bahamas account or something. Send the NFT, resell it, get the cash, transfer it out that way. So this guy is tracking that um, because he was personally affected because the funds were missing and he couldn't even get his own funds that were already on there. So that'll be an interesting one because he wasn't in trouble, that Algod trading guy, until now because he was trying to bypass all these things. So I wonder if he'll get charged or go to jail or whatever. So that'll be fun. Um, what we got here? Yeah. All right. So here's something that. So Caroline, which is the CEO of, well, the ex-CEO of Alameda, she has a Tumblr called World Optimization. Her kink is men who control most major world governments. So she was commenting on something on Tumblr about what people like in guys or whatever. Um, Here's what I think are some cute boy things: controlling most major world governments, being responsible for many important inventions and scientific discoveries, spatial reasoning, low risk aversion. That's funny. Sufficient strength to physically overpower you. If you are a boy who's driven to succeed, you are valid. If you're a boy who arrives at his own opinions. So, I mean, that obviously is just projecting. Um, she's like, yeah, talking about, I mean, that's how she got there. One of the things how she got there, huh? Here's Jump Crypto. Jump is a big VC arm. They're heavily invested in a whole bunch of things. The Wormhole Bridge is one of them. Solana is another. They're writing a new client for Solana, um, which they talked about at Breakpoint. They're investing in a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, so it looks like they do have exposure to FTX, obviously, but it's been managed with their risk framework. It's a massive blow to the industry. We can't believe in this space. We continue to believe in the space and work alongside other builders. Um, Hopefully, we don't get the next message, right? So when a VC arm or something comes forward and says, we were exposed or weren't exposed, but everything's managed and everything's fine, and then the next day it's like, oh, we're bankrupt. So yeah, let's hope they're okay. This one's interesting. Um, All conjecture. I don't know if this is true. The only reason FTX bailed out BlockFi was to get user funds onto their platform to use in their shell game. They applied immense pressure to get BlockFi funds migrated to FTX custody. Employees were told by executives not to ask questions about the move. Totally makes sense. I have no evidence to suggest that that's what happened, but it makes sense considering the environment. Um, yeah, BlockFi is in trouble at the moment, so man, just taking like you said, it's like a shell game. They're taking money from one hole and trying to put it into another and acquiring because they couldn't stay afloat or something. Next, what else is going on? What's this? Oh, the TSM guys. So they're the esports team. Remember them? There was a big it was lots of posts and tweets about them sponsoring esports, and this is the team. So now they were on stage, and covered up they've covered up their shirts. They've used like black tape and covered up the branding as you would. Here's something from Reuters. In subsequent examinations, FTX legal and finance teams also learned that Bankman-Fried implemented what the two people describe as a backdoor into FTX's bookkeeping system. The backdoor allowed him to execute commands that could alter the company's financial records without alerting other people, including external auditors. What? Like, yeah, I just, what do you say to this? It just gets worse and worse and worse every day. You cannot trust anybody. It's like, you come into the space with the whole ethos on, governments are against you, so let's start, putting our money into censorship resistant things, Bitcoin being one of them, and then smart contract platforms come along, and then they're talking about programmable money. So let's rebuild the financial system in an open way. Ethereum starts to get traction, and then a whole bunch of other smart contract platforms get traction, um, and everything's everything's fine. There's still there's still players that are dodgy. All those dodgy ICOs from the Ethereum days in 2017. But largely, there was no contagion. It was like, oh, you bought a scammy ICO and you lost your money, right? But now, and then in 2017, it's like, oh, can't wait for the institutions to get here. They're going to buy our bags. And I was like, oh, they're not going to buy our bags, mate. What? This is Wall Street. They're not idiots. They're not going to buy the top and push Bitcoin from 20K to 100K. Um, so as we know, I think what was the CBOE something? I think launched in 2017. Anyway, 2018 was the bear market. We all know that. But as more and more institutions have come in, they're starting to be the face of crypto now, right? And with FTX being the big one, so Sam being on Forbes and talking to senators and paying off politicians, and it's like, this is the poster child. Look how great he is. Um, they're just ruining it for everybody. Ruining it for everybody. That's not what crypto's about. Like, we started this thing to get away from centralized entities. When Sam's talking about let's regulate DeFi, and then everybody cracked the shits, it's like, of course, right? That was the downfall, man. That was the start. That was the beginning of the start. Oh, the beginning of the start. Ugh. That was the beginning of the end when he started talking about regulating DeFi. I say, what the hell is going on here? Well, for me anyway. I'm like, what? It's Yeah. We have to strip back everything and go back to where we were in 2017 and keep going that way without the institutions. The institutions are here, they're not going to go away. We need to focus on being self sovereign and continue to build on contract chains and build out. We're trying to duplicate TradFi on the blockchain. I still think that's a good way to go. We just need to not let centralized entities control it, right? VCs start coming in and investing in everything. Is like, well, no, we need the grassroots projects to do the things. The problem is grassroots projects need funds. So I don't know what the way forward is. I don't know what the way forward is, but we are human, and then eventually, too much money and too much power, you start making bad judgment calls. Um, so let's have a look. What else have we got? Here's a list of people and firms that lost all their funds in FTX. Okay, it's a bit big. You won't be able to see it all, but we got Insight, Lightspeed, Paradigm, SB, Tiger Global, Lux Ontario, the Ontario Teachers Union. Um, it's got 400 here, so I'm thinking 400 million. I'm like, God, so bad. Um, this one is interesting. So Su Zhu, probably not directly with the FTX being so, but he's definitely popped up and chimed in. So he had this story where he's 2 weeks ago he was at the beach and talking about these people, and then someone said, pasted in a news article about those people that got swept away. It's from Cape Town. So he said, "Oh, you were in Cape Town." That story links in. So Su Zhu might be in Cape Town. Um, so the FTX US uh, bank accounts. If you're a US guy watching this, just make sure you don't have your bank accounts linked with FTX US. Get them changed, change your passwords, all that sort of stuff. You don't want your money stolen. September 16, 2019 was when CZ, I remember this too, it was a big wick. A market maker from a smaller futures exchange tried to attack Binance futures platform. No one was liquidated as we used the index price, blah, blah, blah. Uh, yeah, it's, I reckon this is where it started, the beef. All the way back here, like when they first launched. So that makes sense. Um, what else can we talk about? The Canadian exchange Newton has just paused limit orders. So the contagion is spreading now to Canada. So DJ Spartan reckons that he thinks that it is a rogue insider based on the fact that the wallet that where the money's going to has these tokens in them. I'll go back here so you can see it. So it's got Caroline Dick tokens, FTX bankrupt tokens, and fuck SBF tokens. So yeah, all conjecture. We don't know. Oh, this Literon Shapiro guy, he decided to make a video about the Bankless podcast guys because they were basically, well, one of the guys was having a breakdown, and he was talking about, they were just upset about the whole thing, talking about, self custody and DeFi and all that sort of stuff. But then the Literon guy that made the video cuts in all these ads, like this one here, um, about because these are like sponsors for the podcast, but they're centralized entities, so they're a bit hypocritical. And he's just calling them out. So many comments, just ripping them apart. Um, Other news: Star Atlas's runway has been cut in half. If you remember, FTX ran the IEO, no IDO, initial DEX offering. No IEO, initial exchange rate. It was run on it was run on FTX. So Star Atlas had a pretty successful IDO back then, so they raised a ton of cash and everything. But obviously, because they kept their money on there, well, some of it anyway, they've lost half. Half of it's gone. So that means their runway's cut in half. It's gonna be tough now. They're gonna either have to run leaner, maybe cut a few things out. That's not great. Um, this is from the FTX private chat. So, like, you know, the guys that work there, he's saying that one of the guys is saying FTX is being hacked. Apps have malware. Delete them. Don't go to the website. So I posted about that too. Um, you know, let's go through that now. Might be a good segue. So if you haven't seen this post, I've tried to spread it around as much as I can to all the groups. So these are basically a whole bunch of things that you need to just double check to see if you're okay. Obviously, don't do your own research on this. Um, if you haven't already, remove all your coins out of all the places, all exchanges, anything. Just put it in a wallet that you control. It's the safest thing at the moment, right? Just wait until this whole thing dies down. We get more clarity. There's been no official word about where Sam or any of the other people are yet. Have they been apprehended, etc. So just keep all your money with you. Delete all the FTX and Blockfolio and FTX Pro and all that sort of stuff off your phone. Log out of the site if you haven't already. Clear your cache and cookies for any site FTX related. If you want to use stable coins and you're into DeFi, maybe DAI is probably the best one. There are a couple on Solana. They haven't been around long enough though, so I'm not sure that you would want to use them. DAI, as far as decentralized coins, these are collateralized. with other tokens, Ethereum and USDC mainly. But it's the longest surviving one, so that's the only reason why I mention it. And then you got BUSD, which you can get from Binance, and then you got Paxos. Oh, that's issued by Paxos. Sorry, you got USDC, that's fully backed by Circle, and then you got Tether, and depends on how you feel about Tether with where you use it. Um, Something to keep in mind that if you've KYC'd yourself with FTX, they have all of your, your name, your birth date, your address, basically everything that they need to create an ID from you. Um, yeah. So if there's a rogue employee stealing all the money, they could also steal all your ID, sell that on the dark web. Who knows? So, like, just give a heads up to your banks and whatever that, um, you could be in trouble, maybe. And the last one I got there is disable any APIs that you've got linked with your FTX account. Like you might have transactions auto feeding into some sort of tax software, or you might have written a bot that runs an API, or and you're looking into FTX. So delete them, pause them. They're useless anyway, so get rid of them. You don't want to have API keys laying around. There's been situations in the past where API keys have been compromised on third parties, and they've used that. The hackers have used that to steal, use the keys and steal the money because they were connected to an exchange. So the people's exchange wallets got drained. Disable them all. Um, I think that's it. I think the biggest news in the last 24 hours has been, the extra movement of funds. And I think, the original thought was that it might be the liquidators coming in, but, they're dumping large amounts on 1 inch in one go. So that's not really how liquidators would do it. So it's more of a now thinking that it's an inside thing. So, not great. Anyway, that's it for now, I think. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're worried, try not to think about this too much. I mean, I know it's a bit hard, especially if you've lost money. Um, yeah. So yeah, great talking to you all. Thanks for tuning in. I will, I'll collect my thoughts and just think about. I just still can't believe it. Still sinking in. Anyway, peace. See you soon.